Now, clearly, getting off on the right foot in week one is going to be critical for Boston College. But what are the three things they're going to need to do in order to beat the Huskies? I'm going to give you those three keys to victory and talk about the ongoing soap opera with the ACC.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black, publisher of Eagle Insider and host of this wonderful podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. 3 days. That's what we got. We're 3 days away from a noon kickoff in Chestnut Hill as the Eagles take on the Northern Illinois Huskies, NIU, to open up the 2023 season. This is a battle of two teams that went 3-9 last year. So, the online people that don't follow either of these teams, they're snarky. The mainstream media, they're not even paying attention to this game. But it's critical. This game is absolutely critical for Boston College for a number of reasons. If they go out there and lay an egg, if Jeff Hafley, if all the talk that we heard about the transfer portal, the growth and depth of this team, the improvement that he's seen on the field is not good enough to go out and beat Northern Illinois, then this season is going to fall apart fast. They've got to win this game because Northern Illinois is not the same as Jordan Lynch's Northern Illinois or Dave Doran's Northern Illinois. This is a team that still is trying to figure things out. But you're following Boston College. If you're listening to this, you know your Boston College Eagles, and you worry. It's a natural thing to worry because how many times have we seen your program just disappoint you? I mean, you just have to go back to last year. God, I was there live as a fan for the Rutgers game. That was brutal. And that's Rutgers. Rutgers is as bad as Northern Illinois. So let's lay this out. What does Jeff Hafley and the Eagles have to do to win on Saturday? I'm going to give you my five criteria. My three real big keys. I think that's going to be super important for BC to win. Now, the first one is on the offensive side of the ball, and I want to see BC being able to air the ball a little bit more than you may be expecting. Northern Illinois last year had a passing defense in the hundreds. I think they were 105th or 108th in the country. Not very good. So that is an area you can target. Their run defense wasn't bad. It was I think it was 52nd in the country. So you have a weakness that you can exploit. You have all these talented wide receivers with Ryan O'Keefe and Joseph Griffin and Jaden Williams and even some of the the Dino Tomlins and Jaden Skeets that you're going to want to get out there and get them the ball. If Northern Illinois is averaging 250, I think it was last year, 253 yards a game they were giving up in the air. That's a softness in their defense that you can exploit. Now, things can change. Obviously, I have not been at Northern Illinois' camp, and I'm not really well aware of what they've changed, but I'm just looking from year to year, right? Which I think is a little dangerous, but I still think based off of what BC has, they need to use the air a little bit more in this game. I think it's going to be critical. But my little caveat here is I think the play action is going to be critical, more so than just straight out passing. That I think that Northern Illinois might be susceptible if you're able to move the ball on the ground with Pat Garwo, with Alex Broom, that sets up a nice play action pass to George Takis, who you see on your screen right now, or finds Ryan O'Keefe in the slot in maybe Northern Illinois doesn't have a guy that can keep up to his speed. That's going to make some big plays. So I'm going to say my first key here is going to be play action. Get that play action rolling. I think that's going to be critical because I think that would showcase that your running game is working, that you have the ability to run the ball when you need. Because remember last year, I remember watching Emmett Morehead last year trying to run play action and going, they're not biting on any of this because they don't respect the run. They don't need to. Now that you have the offensive line back that can sort of mask the issues that they had last year and really make a problem into more of a asset, which is the play of your line, that should open up this part of your game. Remember, last year, when you looked at BC's playbook, I felt like Hafley and John McNulty ran the ball just to say they ran the ball. There was no purpose to running that ball other than wasting it down. You couldn't get play action really going because no one respected it. So the only part of your playbook that was working at this point was just straight out passing. This year, this team should have all of those their playbook should be well established and usable from top to bottom, that you're going to be able to give Emmett Morehead, the ability to have him run the ball, have, the running backs run the ball, do play action, pass the ball. If they get that play action though going, that's going to be the sign that this offense is back. This offense is clicking at the level that it needs to win games. And I'm not sure Northern Illinois will have an answer to that. If BC's able to get that going. BC's got some good weapons on that offense. And I think it might be too much for Northern Illinois to handle. So that's my first key. In my second segment, I'm going to give you a few more keys that I'm kind of looking at that I think are going to be important, including one more on the offense and then a defensive piece that I think is going to be very critical. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Now, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So you're hiring, you go over to LinkedIn, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. With simple tools like screening questions, it makes it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Now, here's what you got to do. Head over to LinkedIn Jobs. Help find you the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Now, you, a listener of our great podcast, you can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. This is Locked On BC, AJ Black. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to stick with the offense for our keys because we're talking about keys to victory here. Boston College is I think an 8.5-point favorite on FanDuel. You can go over there. And if you don't live in Massachusetts, bet on the game. Remember, if you live in Massachusetts, you can't bet on the local teams. I totally forgot. I had it in my mind when I was like, don't want to go with over-unders for BC. I had some, promo cash to go over. Then realized that wasn't there. And then it kind of slipped my mind. And then UMass last weekend, I was like, oh, I was going to go and hit UMass in that game because I thought they were going to do pretty well, which they did. But I can't bet on them either. So it's a local thing. So if you're a Massachusetts resident, you can't bet on that game. Now, my second key to this game is going to be more general for BC, but it's something that I think has bit Jeff Hafley's teams in the past. And that's careless mistakes. It set the tone last year in that first game against Rutgers when Drew Kendall, that first set of downs, went back to snap it and botched the snap to Phil Dracovic. And then Rutgers had the ball, and that was basically it, right? When you make mistakes, when your line of your margin of error is so low, you have issues. I don't think that that margin of error should be that low for a game against NIU, because I truly do believe that Boston College has a talent advantage here. But what they need to do is going to be prevent silly mistakes and win the turnover battles. That's going to be the key. Rocky Lombardi, the quarterback for Northern Illinois, is not mistake proof. He did throw 8 interceptions a couple years ago when he had his big year. BC cannot just hand the ball to Northern Illinois. The Huskies are going to try to drain the clock, run the ball, and do all that. We'll get into that in a moment. BC has to be able to get them off the field and not do things like stupid penalties, turnovers, mistakes, the mental lapses that can allow a team that is a 10-point underdog back into a game. So we're going to be looking. Will Emmett Morehead, does he prevent himself from making those bad passes that hurt the Eagles? And will BC be opportunistic on the defense to get the ball as well? Because remember, I would say, a key could just be that BC doesn't give up the ball. But I want to see BC get more aggressive in terms of turnovers. Remember last year, they were not a very good team in terms of, they had poor turnover luck. It never seemed like any fumble ever went with them. I think this team could, with a few good turnovers in their favor, with the way this team is set up and playing at home, it's a season opener. That could lead to an easy win. So that turnover battle is going to be huge. And again, it's the mental mistakes too, though. Hopefully we're very excited to see what this offensive line looks like. But if they're out there getting called for false starts that turn a 2nd and 6 to a 2nd and 11, that's going to cause problems. So hopefully things like that are going to kind of chill out and not be a problem, because it has felt like in years past it's been something that has bit BC. Now, our final key to victory is on the defensive side of the ball. And it is going to be a very clear one. They've got to have the key is going to be a solid run defense in this game. They've, with Northern Illinois having Lombardi, who threw for about 2,600 yards, and Trayvon Galloway, who had 50, 60 catches a couple years ago. You might look at this and go, this could be a problem. The passing game could be a problem for a team like Boston College. And that could be the case. But I think that Northern Illinois' bigger challenge is going to be on the ground. And when you've lost a Bryce Steele and you may be a little bit more worried about how those linebackers play, having a strong front seven that can stop the run and force Northern Illinois to be one-dimensional will be huge. The worst thing that could happen for Boston College, the biggest nightmare scenario for me is not the passing game. It's what you could probably envision in your head, which is Rocky Lombardi going back to pass. They get pressure in his face. He scrambles and then gets first downs. Those plays where they just can't wrap him up and he ends up getting those first downs. Those are the things that are going to kill them. So running game is not just the running back, who I know that they have a back that they're feeling pretty confident about, but also preventing Lombardi from getting outside and running. He ran for about 500 yards a couple years ago. This guy can move. So you're going to need a good game out of your front seven. You're going to need Donovan Ezeiruaku to really be stout in the run attack. You're going to need Cam Arnold and Vinny DePalma as your linebackers to have a strong outing. This is going to be a major key for Boston College. This is going to be something to watch for. Now, one person I think had texted me and said, a fan, that, would special teams be a key for this one? I think of special teams as being super important in those games that could be closer. And, I think BC's in a lot of trouble if this game is close. This game should not be close. So that should not be a key because there's other issues that are going on. If you're worried that Connor Litton's going to be kicking field goals or that your punting game has to be strong, you need to have other things going on offense and defense that makes those parts kind of irrelevant in a game like this. Their special teams are going to be important. When we get to like a Louisville game or Syracuse, it's going to be critical. But for this game, I'm not going to put it there. So I'm going to keep special teams kind of out of this one. But maybe a nice kickback return for a touchdown from Ryan O'Keefe would be a nice way to start the season off. Wouldn't that kind of set the tone? But that's just my thoughts. What's your keys? Leave them off in the comment section right now. If you like this podcast, hit the like button as well. Now, let's leave the game behind for just a few moments. We're going to talk about two little football items that I thought were really interesting and get into why they're important, including a team ranking score from 247 Sports that I thought really kind of indicates that BC might be better than folks are expecting them to be. We'll get into all that in just a moment. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. I got a little note up here. If you like good insight into BC sports, if you want to know who the visitors are, the recruits that are coming this weekend, go over to Eagle Insider. Join now. It's $4.50 a month. I put up so much VIP good information for you that you're gonna know everything. You're gonna go to these BC games and you're gonna impress your friends at the tailgates with everything you know. So go over, sign up today. It's I think it's like, was it $50 for the entire year, full year for the whole season through recruiting, transfers. I got scoops you ain't gonna find it anywhere else. So head on over, sign up today, become a member. All right. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about expansion and our buddy here, Jim Phillips. Every picture of him, he looks kind of just like he looks a little clueless. He's not, though. I don't think of Jim Phillips as clueless. And right now, the ACC is kind of stuck in a holding pattern as they're waiting to have another vote, and it sounds like it could be the final vote on accepting SMU, Cal, and Stanford into the ACC. Now, most reports from reliable sources sound like things are going in the right direction. I have to say, as someone who follows things on Twitter, and with Elon's new following thing, you get all these other people. Just be careful with who you follow on there, because there's some folks out there that I don't even know who they are, and they claim to be experts, and they get boosted constantly. And I'm not sure if they know anything or not, but when I don't see a Pete Thamel, Nicole Auerbach, Brett McMurphy, Brendan Marcello, Ross Dellinger attached to it, I don't give it much weight. Unless those names are on there, I don't give those much weight. But right now we're holding because the vote, it sounded like was going to happen yesterday, but they delayed it because there was that awful school shooting in UNC where I think a staff member at a lab lost their lives. So Phillips did kind of did the right thing and held off while the UNC chancellor was, dealing with some stuff at the school. It sounds like the vote should be coming either, if you're listening on Thursday, tonight, or on Friday. But does the ACC have enough votes to get this to pass? Will they be able to flip a FSU or Clemson or the others? I think it's NC State or UNC to away from the dark side. I mean, if I was a betting man, I almost want to say that Florida State and Clemson are lost causes. They both just seem like they're going to probably just vote everything down and that meme of Homer Simpson just lighting a match on a bridge as he goes by on a little cart and blows it up. That's what I should make that with Clemson stickers and Florida State stickers on it, with the ACC being the bridge, because that seems like where that's going. So it, based off of things that we've heard, the buzz that it's going to happen, it must mean NC State or UNC, or probably both, because it seems like they're both like a voting block, are going to change. So that I think it's going to be good. The money hopefully will be enough to shut Florida State up, because I am so done listening to them complain about everything. But if it's not, then at least you have some stock for your team, your conference, when they go and leave to go wherever the heck they're going to go. Right. So that's my thoughts on the ACC expansion. And I have always said, if I'm going to vote, rank those three teams in terms of Boston College of what teams I'm excited to play for, Stanford every day will be number one. Stanford and BC, I almost would wish Stanford would take the place of like Miami as their like one of their permanent rivals, because you get a trip to California every other year. Stanford and BC are both like really high academic schools. They've got a history. I would love to see Stanford play BC every year. The other two schools I could care less about, but Stanford, I would love to see BC play almost regularly, right? So the final thought, and this is just a really quick little nugget. I'm the editor at 247's Eagle Insider. It's BC site there. They this on Wednesday, I've lost track of what day it is. The site released their team composite rankings, and what that means is they go through the players on your roster and basically kind of like a recruiting ranking, like how there's like they rate which teams have like the highest recruiting rankings based on 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, all that good stuff. They did it with the team. So like which team has the most 5 stars, they get more points for that than a team that's near the bottom. So it was really interesting to see that based off of the players on the roster, Boston College was 9th out of 14 for the ACC. I mean, given where they were last year, that's not bad. They were ahead of teams like Virginia Tech, Virginia, I think Syracuse. Georgia Tech was weirdly like 5th. It was just an interesting little nugget to see, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be players that don't pan out that are 4 stars and all that good stuff. But it's kind of like it sets the tone. Like 9th would be enough I would think, for a team like BC to make a bowl game. But you'd hope that you have the staff that can then coach up those players too. You want the coaching staff. It's not all the time the players. You need to have the right system in place to make them successful. So 9th, I thought was pretty interesting. Now, there's a bunch of comments, and I have been really bad lately of reading the comments on our live podcast. We're on YouTube. Hit the like button and subscribe right now if you have not done so. If you're listening, we got a really big group today up on YouTube. So subscribe to our channel right now. Do it. All right. Peter Caruso, who is one of our big time super fans. Homework: on the night before the game, please pray that BC gets the job done. BC needs fans all game long. Hashtag quiet offense at work. Hashtag fan power. Hashtag pack alumni. Connor Galligan says 3 wins predicted. Shake my head. And then we get Peter. Whoever is here is going to the game early, arrive early, and get loud. And do we have anyone else? It's just Peter and Connor having fun in the comment section. So it looked like it was a lot going on, but we have a lot of people listening and not a lot of people commenting, and that's all good. So thank you all so much. On tomorrow's show, Mitch is going to join us again. Mitch and I are both going to give our predictions. We're also going to do our betting predictions. So we're going to each give 3 different games and our predictions betting wise for the BC game. You're going to want to hear all our thoughts on that. Get ready for that. And again, head over to Eagle Insider if you have not done so already. Subscribe there and follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Thank you all so much for listening to our show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see y'all again soon. Take care and see you soon.